The silent planet. For centuries, the Galactic Federation had forgotten Earth, its people discarded like tools no longer needed. Originally designed for war, humans were seen as disposable, a species engineered to be efficient soldiers, adaptable but expendable. However, as the winds of power shifted and new ethical debates emerged, Earth was abandoned by the Federation. An animal rights group fought for the humans' recognition as sentient beings, and eventually they won the legislation to leave them behind. Earth, tucked away far from the bustling galaxies, was a forgotten world, a reservation planet designed only to contain the remnants of a species that once served as warriors. Every 1,000 years, Commander Talon, a member of the Avan species, was tasked with checking on Earth. His mission was simple: observe humanity's progress, noting any significant advancements. For centuries, Earth's human populations had progressed, sometimes forming mighty empires, sometimes regressing into nomadic tribes. But as Talon's ship approached the solar system, sensors detected something that caught his attention. A signal, a weak but unmistakably technological transmission. Talon, at first perplexed, thought it might be a remnant of the past. But as he scanned the planet, more anomalies appeared, elevated levels of radioactive elements in the atmosphere, possibly indicating a nuclear conflict. Yet, another scan revealed something even more baffling. Earth was alive. Strong, consistent radio waves emanated from the planet's surface. Talon's curiosity deepened as he neared Earth's orbit. What he hadn't expected, though, was the bustling activity in high Earth orbit. There were satellites, more than he could count, and a small, yet sophisticated space station. Earth, once thought to be abandoned, had not only survived but thrived. The humans, it seemed, had become a force to be reckoned with. The Federation's forgotten species had evolved in ways no one expected. Talon began compiling his report, only to be jolted by a sudden surprise. Several small, agile human ships surrounded his vessel, their weapons locked onto him. He was no longer the observer, he had become the observed. Over the comms, a voice, unmistakably human, crackled through, commanding him to identify himself. The humans had not only survived, they had united, advanced, and now demanded answers. And Commander Talon had just become their guest. Part 2. The Unlikely Guests. Talon's ship, once a masterpiece of Federation technology, now hung helplessly in Earth's orbit, surrounded by the fleet of small human crafts. The voice from the communication system sounded calm, but there was a command in it that betrayed decades of military experience. Talon had never encountered humans like this. These were no longer the primitive, scattered survivors he remembered. They were united, organized, and technologically advanced. The realization set in. These humans were no longer the tools of war. They had become the masters of their own destiny. Talon quickly realized that his usual tactics would not work. He needed to tread carefully. He fumbled with his console, hastily transmitting a report to the Galactic Federation, marking it as urgent. His heart raced as he wondered how his superiors would react to the news. A species once considered expendable now posed a serious problem. Should he retreat? Should he prepare for a confrontation? The answers were unclear. His instincts, however, nudged him towards a more risky path. He would try to meet them on their terms, pretending to be a celestial emissary sent by the Federation. He remembered the ancient mythologies that spoke of gods walking among mortals. Perhaps, in a way, he was now that figure. He would need to use all his knowledge of first contact protocols to navigate this delicate situation. He steadied himself, clearing his throat, and activated the comm system. Humans of Earth, I bring a message from the Galactic Federation, guardians of the galaxy. I request an audience with your esteemed leaders. Much has transpired that you must be made aware of. For a few tense moments, there was no response. Talon's mind raced, but before he could make another move, a deeper, seasoned voice responded from the other side of the transmission. You speak our language fluently. Interesting. We're bringing you into Station Helios. Prepare to be boarded. Let's discuss. A sigh of relief escaped Helen. He had been given the chance to meet Earth's leaders. As his ship was towed towards the station, he marveled at the technology surrounding him. Once, the humans had barely mastered steam power. Now they had a space station of their own. The humans had not only survived, they had flourished. Talon, walking into their domain, couldn't help but wonder what kind of encounter lay ahead. Whatever it was, he had just crossed a line from observer to participant. The heart of humanity. Talon stepped onto Station Helios, the hub of humanity's technological prowess, his heart pounding. The station was a marvel, sleek, efficient, and gleaming under the light of the sun. Earth had not only recovered, it had become a beacon of progress in the galaxy. This was a species once thought weak, forgotten, and left to die. Now it was in possession of advanced weaponry, spacefaring technology, and the ability to organize a unified front. He was met by a human officer, tall, with dark eyes that scrutinized him carefully. There was no awe in their gaze, no fear of the alien visitor, just determination. "Commander Talon, we've been expecting you. Please, follow me." The officer's tone was calm, but there was an edge to it that Talon couldn't ignore. As he walked deeper into the station, Talon's mind raced with the possibilities. These humans had been abandoned, left to their own devices for millennia. How had they survived? How had they advanced so quickly? And what had they learned in the years that the Federation had chosen to ignore them? Was their progress due to sheer ingenuity, or had they learned something the Federation had missed? The officer led him into a central conference room, where a group of human leaders waited. They were diverse, different backgrounds, ages, and experiences, but there was a shared air of purpose in the room. Talon couldn't help but wonder what they would make of his report. The Federation's oversight of Earth was an embarrassment, and he was about to bring that fact to light. Commander Talon, the leader of the group, a woman with short-cropped hair, began, "You've come from the Federation, but you're not here for a simple check-in, are you?" Her eyes locked onto his, sharp and knowing. "We've been watching you for a long time. And now, it's time for you to explain why we were left to fend for ourselves." Talon felt a knot form in his chest. The human leader, a woman of sharp intelligence and no trace of fear, had seen right through his facade. He'd expected skepticism, but not this directness. He cleared his throat and straightened his posture. "No, I am not here simply to observe," Talon began, his voice steady, but laced with the weight of centuries of deceit. "I bring news. The Galactic Federation, your former masters, are unaware of your evolution. I have come to inform them of your survival, your advancement, and your growing power. They are intrigued." The woman raised an eyebrow. Intrigued? Or threatened? Talon's feathers ruffled slightly. He had anticipated some form of confrontation, but the boldness of this question left him momentarily speechless. The woman's gaze never wavered, and it was clear she wasn't seeking an answer to a rhetorical question. She genuinely wanted to know. "They are not aware of the scale of your progress," Talon responded, choosing his words carefully. "When you were abandoned, left to decay in isolation, they thought you would fade away. But what I've seen, what I've witnessed, I must admit I was wrong." The room fell into an uncomfortable silence. Talon could feel the weight of the truth settling in. The humans of Earth, once considered little more than an experiment gone wrong, had not only survived. They had thrived, adapted, and become a force capable of challenging the might of the Galactic Federation. The leader stood from her seat, walking slowly around the room. "Commander Talon, you're not the first to come here. We've been monitoring the Federation for centuries. We know about your laws, your games. We know how you treat those you deem less than you. We've been waiting for this moment. We've been preparing for the day when the Federation would need to reckon with what it left behind." Talon stiffened, sensing the deep conviction in her words. "You've been watching the Federation?" he asked, his voice betraying a mix of surprise and apprehension. The woman nodded, her expression unwavering. "We've built more than just ships and stations. We've built a network, a web of information. We know about the Council's decisions, about the politics that kept us in the dark. We know about the species that were once abandoned, and we've tracked their progress too. A chill ran down Talon's spine. You've been preparing for war. No, the leader said firmly, stopping in front of him. We've been preparing for justice, for accountability, for a reckoning of all those who have exploited and abandoned us. Talon took a step back. The humans weren't just an advanced species. They were a people with purpose, with a burning need for recognition and retribution. They had been left behind, but they hadn't forgotten. And now, it seemed, they were ready to claim their place in the galaxy once more. I didn't come to fight, Talon said, his voice lower now, almost pleading. I came to report, to fulfill my duty. But I didn't expect this. He gestured to the room, to the station beyond the windows, to the ships that had surrounded him in orbit. The human leader smiled, but there was no warmth in it. That's the difference between you and us, Commander. You were sent here to observe. We were sent here to rise. The message. The following days passed in a haze for Talon. He was held in the heart of Station Helios, a visitor but not quite a prisoner. The humans treated him with cautious respect, but there was no question that he was now part of their story, a story that had evolved far beyond the Federation's expectations. In his time there, Talon was shown more than just the technological marvels of Earth's advancements. He was introduced to the core of their society, their history, and the raw emotions that fueled their desire for change. Every conversation, every exchange, was laden with the weight of the past. One night, while Talon sat in a quiet observation room, reflecting on his report and the implications of his findings, the human leader visited him again. She entered the room without announcement, her footsteps soft but purposeful. Talon, she said, her tone more personal this time. I want to show you something. Talon looked up, his curiosity piqued. What? Follow me, she said simply, turning on her heel and walking out of the room. Talon followed her through the winding corridors of the station, eventually arriving at a large, circular chamber. In the center was a holographic display, a model of Earth itself, spinning slowly. But it wasn't just the planet. It was a representation of the human network, of their alliances, their ships, their influence. This is Earth's future, the leader said, gesturing to the display. This is what we've built, what we've worked for. And this is the message we're going to send. Talon stepped closer, studying the intricate details of the hologram. Ships in orbit, settlements on distant moons, communication links spanning light years. It was more than just Earth. It was a message to the galaxy, a declaration of humanity's return. You intend to send this to the Federation? Talon asked, still in awe of the scale. We intend to send it to everyone, the leader replied. The Federation, the Council, the whole galaxy. We're not just going to ask for recognition, Talon. We're going to demand it, and we'll make sure they never forget again. Talon felt a rush of understanding. This wasn't just about survival. This was about reclaiming their place in the galaxy, about taking back control of their own destiny. Humanity wasn't simply returning to the stars. They were preparing to reshape the very fabric of galactic politics. You've built this network, not just for survival, but for revolution, Talon said softly, the realization sinking in. The leader smiled, a rare moment of true warmth in her expression. Exactly. And now, Commander Talon, you're part of it. Talon stood there, looking at the hologram of Earth and its surrounding fleet, the full weight of his mission settling on his shoulders. He had come to observe, but now he was a witness to something far greater than he had ever imagined. The unseen enemy. As the days turned into weeks, Talon's understanding of Earth's situation deepened. He had assumed the humans were simply fighting for survival, but now he knew they were preparing for something much larger. A confrontation with the Federation, and perhaps with other powers across the galaxy. Talon had learned that humanity had not just created a fleet, they had created an alliance, a network of species that had once been discarded or overlooked. Now, they were united in purpose, all standing together for the same goal, to reclaim their place in the galaxy. But there was something Talon hadn't fully understood. Not all of the galaxy's powers were as oblivious to Earth's growth as the Federation had been. Earth was not the only world that had been abandoned. Across the stars, other species, once cast aside or oppressed by the Federation, were beginning to stir. They had learned of Earth's rise and were now watching closely, waiting for the right moment to act. As Talon continued to study Earth's progress, he felt the weight of an unseen force gathering in the shadows, a force that could either help or hinder humanity's rise. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: Earth's days of being forgotten were over. Earth had spent centuries in isolation, honing their technologies, establishing alliances, and crafting a network of influence that had gone unnoticed by the Galactic Federation. Talon had thought humanity's time had passed, but now he realized they were on the verge of something monumental. They were not just a species seeking revenge. They were a force set to challenge the very foundations of galactic power. The leader of the humans, whom Talon had come to know as Captain Kira, guided him through more of their facilities. One evening, as they walked through a high-security section of Station Helios, she finally addressed something that had been on Talon's mind. "There's more to the story than just technology, Commander," Kira began, her voice low and serious. "We didn't just survive in isolation. We learned, we adapted, and we discovered something the Federation didn't count on." Talon raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" Kira led him into a large chamber filled with vast computer arrays and databanks, the likes of which Talon had never seen before. Screens displayed ancient, fragmented transmissions, long-forgotten research notes, and cryptic symbols from cultures beyond their own. Talon felt a chill creep down his spine. There was something here that made him uneasy. "We've been collecting information for centuries," Kira continued, turning to face him. "We've infiltrated data sources, intercepted messages, and even tracked down old Federation outposts. Do you know what we found? Evidence that there are forces at work within the Federation, far more powerful than anyone realizes. Forces that wish to keep humanity hidden, suppressed, and controlled." Talon's feathers bristled. "Who are these forces?" he asked, his voice sharp. "The ones who want to keep us in the dark," Kira said. "The ones who made sure we were forgotten. The same ones who orchestrated our abandonment. There's a faction within the Federation, an old guard of elite council members who view humanity as a threat, not a resource. They don't want us to rise. They fear what we might become if we're allowed to thrive." Talon frowned, feeling the weight of her words. This wasn't just about humanity's survival. It was about something far darker. The Federation, he realized, had been more than just neglectful. They had deliberately kept Earth and its inhabitants hidden. And the ones responsible for this had no intention of letting humanity rise again. "They fear us," Talon whispered. "Not just fear. They're terrified of what we've become," Kira replied. "They've seen the data. They know what we've learned. And they will do whatever it takes to prevent us from challenging their power." The room seemed to grow colder as Kira spoke. Talon's mind raced with the implications. The Federation had discarded humanity like an unwanted tool, but now they were afraid of what this tool could do if unleashed. If humanity were allowed to take its place as an equal, it would upset the delicate balance of power that had been maintained for eons. Kira looked at Talon, her expression solemn. "That's why we need you, Commander. You're our bridge. You've already seen what we've become. You're one of the few in the Federation who can make them listen." Talon swallowed hard. The weight of the responsibility was immense. If he sided with the humans, he would be going against everything he had known, everything he had been trained for. But the truth was undeniable. The humans had evolved far beyond their original purpose. They weren't just a species of warriors anymore. They were innovators, leaders, and now They had become a potential threat to the status quo of the galaxy. "What do you need from me?" Talon asked, his voice determined. "We need to send a message," Kira replied, her tone resolute. "We need to show the Federation and the galaxy that we are no longer their pawns. We need to expose their corruption and their lies. You'll take our message back to them. It's time for humanity to take its place among the stars, Commander. It's time for them to know we are not to be forgotten." The breaking point. The days following Talon's decision to ally with the humans were filled with preparation. He knew that returning to the Federation with the message of humanity's rise would not be easy. There would be resistance. There would be those who would do anything to maintain the established order, to keep humanity from upsetting the balance of power they had so carefully crafted. In secret meetings held in the heart of Station Helios, Talon was briefed on the plans for humanity's next move. They had developed a communication device, something capable of bypassing Federation security measures and sending a message directly to the highest echelons of the Council. This message would not be just a report. It would be a declaration, an undeniable statement that Earth was no longer a forgotten world. They were a force to be reckoned with. Talon watched as Kira and her officers worked tirelessly, finalizing the details. "This is it," Kira said, her eyes hard with resolve. "This is the moment. The Federation has ignored us for far too long. Now we're going to make them listen." Talon, though still uncertain about the full scope of the consequences, couldn't deny the urgency of their cause. Humanity's message had to be sent, and he was the one who would carry it back to the Federation. As the time drew closer, a sense of foreboding settled over him. He had made his choice, but the consequences of that choice were vast. Returning to the Federation with a message of rebellion meant crossing a line from which there was no return. The Federation would never forgive him for turning his back on them. But there was no turning back now. He was part of this new world, this new future. As humanity's emissary, he was about to send a message that would echo through the galaxy for centuries to come. The reckoning. The final preparations were made. The communication device, a small but powerful piece of technology, was loaded onto Talon's ship. It was time to depart Station Helios and make the journey back to the Federation. Kira stood by his side as his ship powered up, her expression a mixture of hope and determination. "Once you send the message, there's no going back," she said softly. Talon nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. "I know." The journey through space was silent, and as Talon entered the Federation space, his sensors began to pick up signs of familiar Federation ships patrolling the perimeter. He was still an outsider, an unannounced visitor to the Federation, but now, with the message in hand, he had the power to change everything. As he approached the Federation's core systems, Talon prepared to transmit the message. He knew that the moment he pressed the button, it would set in motion a chain of events that would forever alter the course of galactic history. With a final breath, Talon sent the message, humanity's message, to the Federation. A single sentence, simple yet powerful. "We are no longer forgotten. We are the future." The transmission went live, and the galaxy would never be the same again.